And I don't know if this will get posted or approved, because a lot of the Bernie groups have transitioned over to Jill Stein, and understandably so, because she is going to be on more ballots than Bernie Sanders, because she's a candidate, and Bernie Sanders has willingly abandoned his campaign. And I don't mean abandoned in a negative sense. He's suspended it and has backed Hillary Clinton for reasons that are really, as always, far and above us and our thoughts and our decisions, because it's almost like being at a funeral, where the funeral is really for all the people who come to say thank you to the departed, but the departed isn't feeling any of that. They're just gone, and they're keeping it moving. And we don't realize that nuance. Bernie may be grieving certain aspects of his campaign, but he's not grieving the loss of Bernie. We are. And Bernie's always been ahead of the curve. Always ahead of the curve. And it always takes us weeks, days, months, years to catch up to him. It's taken this nation decades to catch up with him. And so when he suspended his campaign, it was almost inevitable, but it was shocking, and we grieved, and we were still grieving. And when you have Hillary supporters and the extremes of that, the Hillbots telling you you're all stupid and move on, get over it, vote for Hillary, it only causes us to, hanker down and resist that. But Bernie is always, and has always for months, this is not recent, been saying, he will do everything he can to ensure that Trump does not become the next president of the United States. Once again, just like he is on, women's rights and veterans' rights and gay rights, human rights, war, everything you can possibly think of, minimum wage, healthcare, you can go on and on and on ad nauseum. He's always ahead of the curve when everyone else around him, including his own supporters, are at minimum a few steps behind. So now that time has passed, it's starting to fold into our minds that we get it now. Trump is crazier than even we thought he was. He's exhibiting himself even more crazy than the traditional anyone but Trump group has believed. And he's revealing himself as really just someone who can't control himself at all. And Bernie won this platform. He basically said, or proved, that this is not a ridiculous revolution. The DNC needs us. We've proven through the emails that there was, collusion and resistance, and really an effort to derail Bernie supporters and derail the Bernie revolution, and to derail Bernie himself. It's smoke. What we got through the emails was smoke that hints at the real fire, because the average person isn't an idiot who leaves video evidence and emails and recorded conversations and telephone calls and that sort of thing So what you will always inevitably get are fragments and hints and shadows of the bigger picture. And so we know that the powers that be were basically saying always, as we've always known and others assumed and others denied, Hillary in, Bernie out. So we have all of this. And so despite the behind the scenes, racketeering and collusion, what the DNC has brilliantly done, which has changed our perceptions of what we need to do, is they gave him his platform. So many things on the platform. They didn't marginalize him. They let him, during the convention, essentially be the one to say, look, we're done. Hillary Clinton, let's move on. Let's make her the official nominee. Because when he spoke up and said, I suspend this, after, mind you, the roll call. He did the roll call, had everybody mention their votes. But then he said, I'm good. I got what I needed on record. Let's move on. And I'm not trying to say that I am the nominee. I'm not trying to battle for the nominee. I just wanted for the people to get the roll call in. And he got that. Then he got up there ahead of our curve because we were like, oh my gosh, what does this mean? And it hurt. But he's so far ahead of the game. He's like, I'm working within the system. I got the roll call in. I got the platform in. It is I who is saying, okay, now you guys can push forward with Clinton. I'm done here. That's brilliant. It's brilliant. And now the DNC and the world knows that they need Bernie. They need Bernie's revolution. They need his votes. They need his supporters. And now he's doing that task of trying to convince us. So what about all of us who are Bernie, are busters, and we're pissed off, everything else? We have every right to be. But because the DNC didn't marginalize him, didn't character attack him after the fact, accepted his platform, let him say when we were done, let him say, okay, Hillary can now be the nominee. All of these things, and have the emails come out, get rid of Wasserman Schultz. Despite what they've done, they've at least have feigned learning because they need Bernie. Bernie's right there in there. Yeah, they can do stupid stuff after the election, but it doesn't matter. They are playing that game very well. So it lets us go. We have now the platform. We have everything that we really wanted, and they're not undercutting themselves by doing stupid stuff after the fact. It makes it easier to go, you know what, Jill Stein, outside of being a protest vote, is inconsequential at this time. Trump is so far off the rails, he's become just utterly unstable, and the perception is just, baddish crazy, right? So it makes it easier for a movement to go, I'm still not voting for Hillary. I'm not even really voting against Trump. I'm under the personal belief that Hillary was going to win regardless. And I'm a hardcore Bernie supporter. But the nuance has changed that now, how best, because Jill Stein isn't a substantial candidate, and Trump is so far crazy, that how do I vote not for Bernie, which is what really a Jill Stein vote would be, a protest vote, not so much for Jill Stein, and it's not against Trump, it's for Bernie. A vote for Jill Stein is basically saying, I'm against the DNC and I'm voting for Bernie because she's the best representative of him running. But the nuance is changing that now to vote for anybody else other than Hillary, it's voting against Bernie's platform. And that's where it gets tricky. Because I've always been Bernie or bust. I've always been Jill Stein protest vote after Bernie suspended his campaign. I like Jill Stein. I've met Jill Stein. I've met Bernie. What the dilemma now is, by voting not for Hillary Clinton, without holding my nose and turning the other way and voting, would I be voting against Bernie via the platform that he won? And I think that's where we are. I think that's why people are struggling now. Just as much as conservatives don't want to say that they want to vote for Trump, that they're transitioning to voting for Hillary because they don't want to support him anymore. And they were hardcore Trumpers, and some are transitioning. Bernie or busters are now doing the same thing. We've rallied, we've marched, we've done the social campaign. We've done so much for this, and we felt let down, and we're grieving, we're sad, we're angry, we're understandably pissed. But now, can we win by voting for Hillary Clinton? Because we're in there, and Bernie's in there, his platform's in there, and we'll be damned if Trump gets it. It's not anyone but Trump. It's not pro-Hillary. It's not a protest vote. It suddenly becomes an option to vote for Bernie, to vote for something, not against something. Food for thought. I don't know what I'm going to do.
Thank you.
I just want to acknowledge the question has changed. It's a long time to November.
Thank you.
And I just feel the tide is changing, that we might have a different option to vote for Bernie again.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening. Ciao.
Thank you all very much.